Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and yes, we're back in Total War Warhammer with the new DLC expansion. So this is going to be a 1 versus 1, the Empire facing off against the Vampire Counts in the distance. You could say them starting to plod forward. So some of the new units are going to be featured here. We do have Volkmar the Grim in his Altar of Sigmar, which is awesome, really cool. And then I've got a couple other units kind of spread out. So my main core here is going to be the Tattersouls, the Flagellants, who are unbreakable, large unit. And then I also have 2 greatswords to back them up, so that's the core of my force. And then in reserve I have these Silver Bullet Handgunners who have extra damage for magical units. So I figured the enemy would be bringing magic, so that's why I have them here. And then on the right flank, halberds and handgunners. Left flank, some more handgunners. And then in the center, I have a little bit of my core, Sigmar Sons, Flagellants, and Spearmen with shields. So this is kind of a big buffer, just to hold the enemy at bay while I start to get shots off in the rear. I also have the Hammer of Witches, which is starting to fire at the enemy blob. This thing does extra damage against magical units, which is awesome. And in the back you can see also Knights of the Blazing Sun starting to get underway, and they also have bonuses versus the enemy magical units. I have a Light Wizard here who's moving around casting the spell of Amantak, which basically locks down the enemy. So my goal here was to lock down enemy forces, slow down this rush, and then target the enemy with my cannons. I got a nice hit off. Although my enemy did have some direwolves deployed in the rear who charged into my guys. They had kind of deployed all the way in the back and swarmed around my rear. He does knock out a fair amount of my handgunners, but then I come in and clean them up with Knights of the Blazing Sun with their awesome lances. So a little bit of a distraction that could have been prevented earlier. I did see them and repositioned to deal with them, but was turned about casting spells when he did his final charge, so I didn't have as clean an interception as I would have liked. Did lose a couple handgunners down to 59 men as opposed to the 68 that they would have at full strength, so not too many heavy losses. Anyways, I continue to cast these spells. Another net cast on the enemy, slowing down their movement, keeping them at bay. And I'm trying to just pick off at the enemy the Claw of Nagash here. This Mortis engine is locked down, and I am firing away at it. Ooh, you can see a couple more cannon shots getting unloaded. So this guy is goofy being on lockdown like this. So anyways, that is the main front. Meanwhile, I've charged forward with Volkmar here just to try and slow down and break up the enemy attack. I know he's fairly strong, and so I wanted him to kind of get in the mix. Not necessarily take too much early damage, but at least soak up as much of this damage as I could early on as I reposition. So he started to take some hits, but I do have some abilities I can cast on him, and that is just to delay the western push. Up through the center, I'm actually starting to cast some spells, or sorry, get some shots off on these Cairn Wraiths. So yes, they're going to crash in my front ranks, but I have my the magic bullets basically firing away at them. So they're going to start to take chunks out of those forces. Look at how much damage I'm doing. 1 Cairn Wraith force breaks, and then I charge with my other unit of Flagellants who are unbreakable. So this should help kind of tie down, hold back the enemy. Yes, they're going to break me, but I need to hold this back. This Cairn Wraith unit is stabilizing, so I'm going to try and pull my forces back. The center is being held up by my Spearmen. I have more units in reserve. And then over here, I've been able to pull out Volkmar the Grim. There is Vlad von Karsine chasing after me behind the door, and he's actually chasing me on foot, which is kind of a hilarious sight to see. But he's got a net cast on him, so he's not quite able to catch up. So this net is proving very useful. I caught all of these Crypt Horrors and Grave Guards over in this position. They're not able to execute the flank they wanted, which is being very good for me. Meanwhile, in the center, this Grave Guard unit was looking to charge my lines. I'm going to get a free strike with my Knights of the Blazing Sun. Clean sweep on them, and that's going to be doing a lot of damage to them. Meanwhile, my gunners here are starting to fire a little bit at them, and then I pull up with my halberds to shore up this front when I need it. Meanwhile, the Cairn Wraiths are starting to break. I'm going to dispatch my Tattersouls to clean them up before they do clean up my own handgunners who are already weakened, but they are getting shot at by the Silver Bullets, missile infantry with magic bonuses, and then I'm going to start to pull in my greatswords. Meanwhile, this cannon here is targeting the Claw of Nagash, the magic chariot, Center is still holding, right side is still holding, but quickly crumbling, although the flagellants here are good for holding the enemy firm because they won't break. The left-hand side, enemy is still continuing to push up, but using my nets, I've been able to keep this heavy-hitting wing back as I focus fire on the rest of the targets. Now my halberds here with bonus versus large are going to get in on the combat. I should be able to keep his chariot at bay, although it does do a lot of damage here. So we're going to be able to focus fire somewhat on it, but more troops are going to commit. Down the center, Sigmar's sons, the unbreakable swordsmen, are going to commit against the Graveguard. Match should be relatively even, although I think my guys will win out because they are unbreakable. So that's going to be how I hold up the center, but still, the enemy is able to push through the center. His units have gotten all the way to my cannons. It's going to disrupt me somewhat, but I still have these silver bullet handgunners not tied down who can get some nice shots off on these units. Let's check up on the right side where the enemy has finally broken through. I'm basically out of magic spells that I can cast, and the enemy hero is now in and amongst my guys. Vlad von Karstein is trying to deal with my units, so I'm just going to continue to pull away with the altar. Handgunners are going to disengage, knights are going to wait on the flank, and then this is the heavy hitting wing that finally looks like it's going to be able to get in on my guys. I've been able to do a fair amount of damage here with my halberds and cannon supporting fire. This magic chariot, the mortis engine, is going to be going down pretty soon, although Vlad von Karstein does get into that combat. Center is still holding, left is about to crumble and collapse, but the Tower Souls are doing a good job of holding that firm. Excuse me, let's take a look at the right hand side, where I'm going to charge in with my priest just to break up that combat, and then great swords are going to get in, but they do take a fair amount of damage in that engagement. My god, they're getting torn to shreds. Excuse me. Gunners are now all, take a look at this. I have all my gunners turned about in support, focusing fire on the crypt horrors, and then my cannon still trying to take out these targets. This mortis engine is about to explode. I really wish it would. I redirected my cannon at the last minute to target these crypt horrors, thinking that they were a more preferable target, but I should really try and knock this unit out because it is doing a lot of magical sustain for my opponent. My Knights of the Blazing Sun are pushing around the right flank, and they're looking to get a nice strike. Although my opponent has disengaged his crypt horrors to deal with them, he knows the threat, so that does buy me a little more time. Oh, and there it goes. Mortis engine did go down, and then I popped my ability, which is this magical bombardment, trying to shore up my forces here, trying to hold with my great swords, and then I land a nice rear strike with Knights of the Blazing Sun. Going to be doing a lot of damage. These crypt horrors are going to start crumbling and fading, although Vlad von Karstein is still doing very well. My own light wizard doing okay, holding up in this combat. So it looks like the right flank is kind of in the knife's edge. Knights are going to be crucial for winning me these combats. Sigmar's sons are winning out. I have spearmen winning out. And kind of crucially, my opponent has one of these crypt horror monster units that came back from rounding but has not come back to the battlefield in and of itself. So that, if it were here, could prove decisive on this flank. For the time being, though, he has one Graveguard unit that's free, targeting my great Hammer of Witches. But, again, I still have this unit with the magical bullets firing away at the crypt horrors. Oh, did you see that cannon shot? Oh, wow, that was so good. It killed 3 of the crypt horrors, so that is why I brought that cannon force. I knew it would be crucial. And then I'm going to finish up the crypt horrors here with another volley, so that's doing pretty well. Knights come in to land a pretty decisive strike, freeing up my units, almost breaking these skeleton forces, although they didn't quite break there at the end. And then here we're going to line up a pretty nice charge. Enemy does brace, but charge of the Imperial Knights like that is going to take them out pretty successfully. So it looks like things are kind of aiming towards being in my favor. I have a pretty healthy greatsword unit still in the mix, although at this point, this is a big turning point. Volkmar the Grim here is really low health. The enemy is targeting him with a lot of spells. I try and pull out Knights of the Blazing Sun here to try and give cover to my hero as he pulls himself out of this engagement, and he is teetering on very low health. Ooh, and that direct damage spell just hits me, takes out another big chunk, but I am able to disengage with some fair amount of health left, so I don't want to lose him. That's going to be crucial. But now the center has collapsed, and it is all due to Vlad von Karstein here just chewing through my guys. I don't have much to deal with him now that my gunners, my magical gunners here, are tied down in the center with a lot of these skeleton spearmen on both flanks. Yes, I'll probably win this engagement, but in the meantime, he's brought me low. In the center, I'm still holding strong. Knights of the Blazing Sun trying to reinforce my Tattersouls. But at this point are faced off against Great Guard, they're faced off against Kieran Wraiths. So this is a desperate fight, but it's a fight they'll take to the end. And then I'm going to try and bring back my hero to try and buff the abilities of my fellow units. And now at this point my opponent realizes that these Crypt Horrors have been sitting on the sidelines the whole time and they're going to be pulled back into the action. That's kind of the final decisive moment of this battle, where they're going to start to turn things back in his favor. Although I do have some of my own units I'm going to be pulling back into action soon. My gunners were able to disengage, so I did win this bit of combat. But the decisive moment here that could turn the tide against me is going to be Vlad von Karstein and the fresh Crypt Horrors. I don't have anything fresh to deal with them. Yes, my gunners are still alive, but the knights here, super low, my hero super low, so there's not much I can do to deal with them.
Moving out, sir! All rigs take retreat!
And yeah, I'm going to focus fire on the enemy. Vlad von Karstein starting to do a fair amount of damage, but it looks like my opponent has realized that on the knife's edge that I'm at, if he can take out my hero, that will be it for the crumbling morale of my forces. So now he sends everything against this. Heroes, Crypt Horrors, and if he takes this out, then the rest of my army will surely collapse. And it looks like that is going to be the case. Not much I can do with this slow-moving chariot, and boom, it gets taken out, and with that, my entire force collapsed instantly. So, well-fought battle. Really enjoy the new unit mix. And yeah, it makes for interesting play. Still not convinced about this chariot's high cost, but I guess the way I used it was not beneficial. You want it in your main battle line. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. See you in the next one. Peace out.